After eons of tyranny, the demon god Adyr was finally overthrown by humanity. Though fear of his terrible power endured. And so was formed the hallowed Sentinels, our duty being to stand vigil for signs of his return. Even exile to another realm could not silence the fallen god forever. And in time, Adyr's malignant influence pervaded the world once more. In his hunger for vengeance, Adyr orchestrated the return of his demonic army. Light was swallowed by shadow, and with it, hope. A new, grim champion arises, the Dark Crusaders. And perhaps it will indeed come to pass that only they who shun the light in order to fight the darkness possess the power to defy a god.
Hello and welcome to Let's Play Lords of the Fallen with me, Break It Down. Lords of the Fallen was developed by Hexworks and published by CI Games. It released on October 13, 2023 and is a dark fantasy Souls-like, which should tell you everything you need to know about the general gameplay. But if you're not familiar with the Souls-like genre, we'll explore it as we play through the game. So this release is meant to reinvent and reinvigorate the franchise from 2014, but it does use the same lore. I believe this game takes place 1,000 years after the 2014 game. So let's go and jump in. Ages pass, distorting self-delusion into faith, with few obtaining the revelations they so desperately seek. In a conflict between the divine, are mortals mere pawns? Whether the flesh of gods or death itself, all will be consumed. For she must feed.
Forgive me. Let's do this weapon of deliverance to a worthier servant than I.
this, Crusader. You failed.
And welcome to character creation. There are a few options here. All of these are available to most players except for the Dark Crusader class that is listed at the top. That's exclusive to the deluxe edition of the game. And it's a class I'm going to play because it's the face of the game. If it weren't for that, I would play the Adyr werewolf. Because he looks awesome. But I go with the Dark Crusader. The Dark Crusader, a paladin of the Dark Crusaders, an elite military order in service to the Church of Orion Radiance, spreading the teachings of the Church in Orius via whatever means necessary. A physically powerful class suitable for those who favor a more aggressive approach. And welcome back. I threw in an edit to customize my character off camera. Not that it's going to matter since I'll be wearing armor for most of the game. But now we can just review and begin. And I did forget to go over the starting stats for the Dark Crusader. So the Dark Crusader starts with 12 strength, 8 agility, 14 endurance, 14 vitality, 11 radiance, and 8 inferno. And I changed my name to Donald already. Let's play.
Lo, the latest receiver of his grace. Great potential dwells within you, doubtless, for you to be chosen thusly. And so does Orius' wisdom guide my hand in the bestowment of this subsequent boon. Your flesh has been made sacrosanct with the mark of the Dark Crusaders. Prove yourself worthy of this gift. Seek me in the bowels of the bridge. Our work is of the greatest import.
Yeah, the transition from the cutscene to the gameplay is not very smooth there. This is actually my third time playing through the tutorial, so I'm gonna kind of just run through it. I'll read some of the important bits. But this game has had some disagreements with the recording software that I use, OBS. And so this is not my first attempt at trying to record it. That's our first enemy defeated. Great success. Game does look pretty good. I have most of my settings on Ultra except for a couple that supposedly cause performance issues when they're put on anything higher than high. Innovated Vigor Skull. Oh yeah, let's go over the equipment. So we start with Paladin Isaac's sword. A sword once carried by Paladin Isaac of the Dark Crusaders. Increase your radiance to gain further insight. So it looks like as you increase your stats, you unlock more flavor text for the equipment that you have. It has to be relevant to the piece of equipment. We have a Radiant Burst Parchment. Scripture-covered strips of parchment which explode upon impact. Inflicts holy damage upon enemies while also healing allies. Then the Paladin Helm, Helm of a Paladin, Armor of a Paladin, Gauntlets of a Paladin, and Leggings of a Paladin. And a Paladin's Pendant. Increase strength and endurance attributes. A simple but durable pendant bestowed upon all Paladins of the Dark Crusaders as a reminder of the resolve expected of them. Sanguinarix. A device used to administer Pieda's healing blood. This is our healing item. The Bryostone Pair. A pair of Bryostones heal over time. As is the case with Mana Stones, certain parts of the world are richer in Bryostone deposits than others, and any attempts to artificially replicate the restorative material have ended in failure. Mana Stone Cluster. A cluster of Mana Stones, restore mana over time. Certain parts of the world are richer in Mana Stone deposits than others. While some attempts have been made to artificially replicate the material and its magical properties, none have been successful to date. And a Faint Vigor Skull. A skull emanating a faint amount of vigor grants 400 vigor. And an Innovated Vigor Skull that we just picked up. A skull almost empty of vigor grants 200 vigor. Then a Throwing Hand. Equip throwable items in this hand. The Umbral Lamp. I'll probably call it a lantern a lot because it looks like a lantern, and I think lantern has a more fantasy sound to it. A lamp crafted by Molu, last of the Nahuda. Contains a strange and ravenous light which allows its chosen bearer to not only enter and manipulate Umbral. The hidden realm beyond Axiom, even resurrect upon death. And the Lampbearer's Rosary. A rosary given to you by Exactor Dunmire of the Dark Crusaders. An elite military order in service to the Church of Orion Radiance. The Dark Crusaders spread the teachings of the Church and the radiant god Aureus. A small inscription on the back of the rosary reads, "Cleanse the 5 beacons." Then we have some tinks, which just allow us to change the color of our equipment. Okay, I know how to do all that. It's pretty standard fare for Souls-like games. So the one-handed stance for my weapon is better for AoE, where the two-handed is better for single target. Oh, he actually hit me. The enemy attacks in this game seem to have some pretty absurd gap flows. That's something to keep in mind going forward. If we take a peek in here, we can see an item on the ground, and above, a hole in the ceiling. So I want you to jump across this chasm. My first time through the tutorial, I fell. That's how I discovered this. The forest one we just picked up is just another tinct for our armor. Alright, so teach us how to dodge. Somebody should have taught him how to dodge. just gained access to a throwing rock. A simple rock can be used to cause very minor physical damage or simply gain the attention of enemies. The way they incorporated the range mechanic in this game is pretty neat. So you can have it equipped with a melee weapon instead of having one or the other equipped. And so when I just threw the Radiant Burst Parchment, it has a little explosion effect, and it hit the corpses hanging up here and knocked this item down, which is a wooden cross. A hollowed sentinel cross made of wood, not designed as a weapon, but still capable of serving as one. Counts as an axe. I have this guy here. We don't use him yet. We look over here. The thing on the door. An Umbral entity prevents your progress. So moths indicate points of interest in Umbral. That's what we want to look out for. And if we look this way, we actually follow this tendril. That's where we need to go. Might be treated more as an umbilical cord. I see more moths here. Means another path. I'm going to be thorough as I go through, even though I've played through this twice before, just to make sure I don't miss any secrets. I do really like the lantern mechanic so far. Plus I think light is just an underused mechanic in a lot of games anyway. Like, a lot of games have light mechanics, but rarely do you actually have to interact with them. The Sanguinarix, first time, I didn't know what it was actually used for until that tooltip. Made us say administer Pietas healing blood. That's our primary healing item. Alright, so here we actually have to go into the Umbral Realm. Now it looks like you don't have to. You traverse this, but when you drop down, you put your lantern away. So you'll notice in the top left, half my health turned gray when I entered the Umbral Realm. That means it's withered. And if enemy hits me once, all of that gets taken away. But we can get it back by attacking enemies. It's also part of the block mechanic in the game. We got some Wither Ward. A tin of powder providing increased defense against withering. We can equip it later. Right, here's our introduction to the Soul Flame mechanic, though not the combat version. That opens the way. So I can act like I know what I'm talking about here since I played through it twice. And it's just the tutorial, but in the very near future, that won't be the case. I made a mistake there. When you soul flay an enemy, you can throw their soul in a direction. I guess it can go through walls and they can't. I threw his soul through the wall. And I'd attack him instead. So these blisters on the wall we can absorb. and get our charge back. Our charge, that little blue orb to the top left, underneath our ranged meter. And the charge is not consumed when used on environmental obstacles. I think it's 3 blisters for a full charge. No, that was 3, and I didn't get a full charge back. Saintly Quintessence. A relic used to upgrade the Sanguinarics. I'm assuming it upgrades the amount of healing it does, but maybe it adds mana regen as well. Not that we currently have a way to use mana anyway. There are plunge attacks. So Dread builds up while you're in the Umbral Realm, so prolonged periods in Umbral makes your presence increasingly known to its inhabitants. The longer you spend in Umbral, the more dangerous the beings who hunt you. I think it sounds like a cool way to introduce a secret boss. Let's talk to one-handed here since it's a group of enemies we have to fight. Yeah, the attacking in this game is much faster than the first Lords of the Fallen. That's a big complaint with the first title of the same name. But I kind of liked it. It made the fights a little more tactical. But this is fine too. It's a pretty fun, fluid combat. Just check above us, make sure there's no items that I might miss. Pretty sure there's no items up there. The lantern's vibrating. I'm assuming just for the Vestige here. I'm gonna double check everything just to make sure. This feels like a game that's gonna be rife with secrets, so I'm gonna take my time and be extremely thorough. Before we activate this, there's an item down here. This is as far as I've made it. So I'm not nearly as prepared for what comes next. Alright, so we just picked up a couple of items. We got Tacitus's journal. A weathered journal, a number of its pages missing. This journal belonged to Tacitus, a fearless explorer and cartographer who had traveled across the Oathlands and far beyond, eventually venturing into Mornstead, only to seemingly never emerge from the kingdom. And a map of Mornstead. A map of Mornstead highlighting some of the most significant locations to be found within the ruined kingdom. And you know what, let's go take a look at some of these tinks. So the bronze tinct. So I do like the bronze color. I don't care so much for the green cloak. I might stick with the silver and blue for now. Hopefully we find some better armor later on that the bronze looks good on. Alright, the Vestige of Ronick. Vestiges mark places where previous Lampbearers fell. Once activated, they serve as points of revival should you die in Umbral. Activated Vestiges can be warped between and used to beckon other Lampbearers in multiplayer. I do have multiplayer turned off, so I won't be invaded. There's an invade mechanic in this game. Let's go and upgrade my character. I'm going to prioritize strength for now. I'm going to get that up to probably about 20 or so, and then radiance up to 20, and that's my current long-term goal. We also just picked up another item. A desiccated vestige moth. A desiccated umbral moth. Use it to travel to the most recently used vestige in exchange for a sacrifice of vigor. That's our fast travel mechanic. Alright, this is probably a good stopping point. We'll proceed in the next one. And jump into the game proper now that we're done with the tutorial section. So for now, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.